All right, everybody. Hi there. It's Lisa Wells from Food, Fear and Freedom, helping you get your eating habits back on track and creating more consistent, healthy days for yourself. Today, our webinar is on how to get the kids on board with healthier eating. And I've brought in a professional nutritionist, Mary Anne Bennett from Adelaide Nutrition and Wellbeing. Hi, Mary Anne. How are you going? Thanks for joining us.
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me, Lisa.
Beautiful. Now, this webinar came about because I speak to a lot of women who want to eat healthy, but one of their barriers is that they feel like they have to cook 2 different meals for the whole family. So that's sort of how this came about, and that's why I sought out a nutritionist to come on board and help have a bit of a chat about this. So, Mary Anne, can you just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do?
Well, I haven't always been a nutritionist. It was a change of career for me. I had some health challenges back in 2011 that led me down the path of studying nutrition to heal myself. I'm a mother. I've got 4 adult children, 4 grandchildren, and some step-grandchildren, about 11 of them.
Wow, amazing.
So all together we have 6 children and 15 grandchildren. So, and I've... in my life, I've dealt with fussy kids because I have a couple of them, and now I have fussy grandkids. So it's a challenge. Was a challenge for me. I did the cook two meals because I didn't know any different back then. But I've certainly learned along the way that you can definitely do. I mean, I know, and in my business, I mostly work with women. Most of them are mums that have put their lives and their families first, and then start having some health challenges. And I try and get them to understand that at some point they have to put themselves first. So yes, changing your diet and wanting to eat healthy and trying to get the whole family on board is a challenge, but it's worth it. It's worth it in the end. And investing in your own health is worth it.
Yeah, and I guess like most things, there is no one quick fix, and it's a matter of sort of trying different things, but it's also consistency as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of parents, a lot of women get frustrated because they offer kids food and they don't eat it, or they try something and it doesn't work the first time, and it's really easy to give up and not try again, because the last thing you want is to be meal times and eating to be stressful, because that imprints badly on kids' memories, and then they will all forever fight you when it comes to eating. So we need to get it right. Start off the way you want to continue, which is best for the parents and best for the kids.
Yeah, so it is a little bit of extra effort to do it, but I believe it pays off in the long run, and that's what we want. So I also believe that kids use this mealtime manipulation, to their favor. It's something that they can sort of use to wear you down, basically. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, yes, I certainly know that that children have a great way of trying to push your buttons and make a situation that they want to get out of stressful for the parents. I certainly experienced it when, with separation, leaving your kids for the first time at childcare or somewhere, and they'd be screaming their head off and you're going, I don't want to leave. And then you'd ring the daycare centre and the next minute they'd say, oh no, it's happily playing. They manipulate you. Children have this way of trying to get their own way, and it's just a matter of how to gently work around that, because you don't want to be confrontational. And it certainly is just patience and persistence on the part of the parents.
Yeah, and really, from my experience as well, I have 2 kids, and one of mine is a fussier eater than the other one. Taking that emotion out of it, like it's almost you have to pretend like you don't care whether they eat it or not, because that's when you are invested emotionally in it, that's when they feed on that, and that's when it all goes pear-shaped. So it's
they definitely pick up on those emotions.
That's it. So, if you're starting out, it's really good to just to present the food that is been prepared, and this is the deal. This is what the food is. This is the dinner. It's your choice whether you eat it or not. So, Mary Anne, can you confirm or deny, will any child starve to death if they don't eat that dinner?
No, kids will eventually eat if they're when they're hungry enough.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is no one will purposely starve themselves. I certainly know from my perspective, I gave in a lot with my kids, especially I've got my 29-year-old as the fussiest of mine, and and it was a very stressful situation. So he just defied me, and he would go 24 hours without eating, but eventually he would eat something.
Yeah.
And I took him to a pediatrician, and the pediatrician actually said to me, just feed him whatever he'll eat. And I said, well, that doesn't sound right.
Mm.
But I think, one of the issues is his parents don't present a variety of foods early enough.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time the kids become toddlers, and they have already decided what they want, what they do, and what they don't like, it's because they haven't been offered it. It's not that they don't like it, it's they haven't been offered it. Or the first time you offer it, they don't, they won't eat it. Well, that's not to say you don't keep offering it again. So
well, that's true. Yeah. And I got onto this a bit too late, which was just try it. You might like it. Like, I guess our brains are actually negatively wired, right? So they have a negativity bias. So our brains do what they can to try and protect us. And so the kids go, I don't like it. But it's like, well, you know what? You haven't even tasted it or tried it. My husband always says to the kids, you're eating with your eyes. They're just sort of going by what it looks like. And so just try this little piece. And then if you don't like it, at least you've tried it, and then we know, and I really feel that giving them some at dinner time, some things they will actually eat, even if it's some cheese or cut up carrots or, what do they eat? Give them some of that as a choice. And then, when I did see a nutritionist with my kids when they were younger, she said that as the adult, I say what to eat and the kid will say how much, basically. So trying to force your child to eat just does not work, And I know as a child, I didn't eat mushrooms, I didn't eat avocado, and now they're my two favorite foods. So because your child won't eat it now, it doesn't mean they won't. So like you say, keep presenting it, even if you have the meal and then maybe you make up a big, cut up some carrot sticks or some, just have some cherry tomatoes and stuff like that, and have them on the table as little extras that the kids just get used to seeing. And so instead of forcing them to eat it, it'll just be like something that's naturally always there. And they won't know what you're up to. Sneaky.
Yeah.
So by taking that emotion out of it and just presenting it on the table, this is the food and this is dinner time. And you may need to set maybe 30 minutes or 45 minutes. This is the dinner time. And after that, there's no bananas or there's no anything else. It's just, this is the dinner time. This is the food that's available. After this, kitchen's closed. And you have to stand by that. And both parents have to be on board. So it's really important to talk to your partner about what strategy you're going to use. And give it a decent amount of time, as in basically don't give up on it, just keep doing it night after night after night, really. And that's probably quite the hardest part, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is the hardest part because, you as a mother, you want your kids to eat something. You want them to be eating. They're worried about, the majority of mothers are worried about their nutrition and their health. So, that's obviously, healthy eating is the basis of health, and we want to set them up from the beginning with good health. So yes, but fighting them and and them resisting is what kids naturally do in that toddler, those early years anyway. So we just need to. It's almost not just a battle on the food perspective, is you need to set the ground rules for the whole of how your relationship with your child is going to be. Is, you don't want to be forceful, but you don't want them to think they can get away with everything, because then and for some parents it snowballs.
Yeah, I remember when our kids were toddlers, dinner used to be a circus. Like, I wasn't really into the whole, here comes the plane and all that. And I'm like, well, this is the food. here you go. And then my husband would come home and he would sort of force them by, doing the whole clown act. And it's like, that's just not sustainable. And then he'd get onto the bribing with the dessert thing. And so then years later, I had to wean them off that whole dessert thing. So there's that saying, something about sort of go forward as you mean to kind of end up.
Yeah. Start as you mean to continue, yeah.
That's it, definitely. So, and I guess the big number one tip that most people would give is about hiding the veggies.
I've certainly done that many times. I think not hide all of them. It's just when you understand if there are things that a child will eat that you can hide vegetables. And as I've discovered, I didn't do it with my kids because I didn't know about it, but my oldest granddaughter is 16 and a half, nearly 17. And so she has a fussy mother, so she's fussy, and now all of my grandchildren are fussy in varying different degrees. So I learned to hide vegetables in, if in spaghetti sauce, in muffins, in anything you can hide them in, just to give them that extra boost. Is worth it. And there are many ways you can do that, like making, if you want to get fruit into children who don't eat fruit, make them into ice, make your own ice cream, make your own ice creams, ice blocks. I do that with my grandchildren. They wouldn't eat a peach because I don't like it's fairy and it's squishy, but if I blend it up, and I don't blend it up with lots of sugar, I blend it up with maybe a little bit of milk or a little bit of coconut milk, freeze it in those really cheap little ice block things. They love it.
Yeah. Awesome.
So it's just a matter of getting to know what you can, and just trying it, keep on going. Yeah. So there's lots of recipes on the internet, I suppose. If you search for things, it's really easy just to whiz up those mushrooms really small and stick them in a bolognese or something like that. And I also found at school, my son, when he was maybe grade 4 or 5, they did this cooking thing and they'd made muffins with zucchini in them. Like, he wouldn't be seen dead with a zucchini in his hand. But he loved these muffins and he brought the recipe home and said, oh, well, let's make these. And sometimes when the children are in a different environment as well, so if you are a grandparent, you might have better luck at getting the kids to try new things. So really, it's, I guess, the mindset of trying something new. It's not forcing the kid to eat the whole thing. You just have to start off small, really, don't you? And just be open, take the emotion out of it, and just have to be consistent, really, every day. And I think the battle as a parent is if you have got someone outside of your home, because kids, don't always listen to the parents. Doesn't matter how small or big they are. So I guess from me, when I went to my grandparents just feed us all the junk. They didn't care whether we ate it. And I certainly know with my oldest granddaughter, I probably fed her stuff that I now look at and go, oh my God. And of course, and then there's a 6-year age gap between my son's 16-year-old, and then he had twins, so they're now 10 and a half. By then I'd been through started my health challenges and started looking at healthy eating and going, oh my God, I fed that to my kids, I fed that to my oldest granddaughter, now what do I do? So I sort of kind of have evolved, and they used to love coming to my house because I used to have junk, but it didn't mean we didn't have the same sorts of things. We just started making them, and getting kids involved in cooking is an amazing way to get them to eat things that they wouldn't normally eat. So I started getting my grandchildren to help me make stuff and showing them that, you can put stuff in. And as they got bigger, that's one of their most favorite things to do. So, pancakes is another thing you can put fruit and vegetables in. I make sweet potato pancakes or pumpkin pancakes, and they're just orange flavored. They don't taste like pumpkin or sweet potato. But it's just a matter of, getting them involved as they get bigger. I mean, when they're little, it's obviously you're not able to do that. But as they want to be involved in the kitchen,
definitely.
Getting them involved.
My kids, especially on the school holidays, will always do some baking. And if there's a recipe that you have, like maybe a chocolate cake or something that you love, just search for a healthier version of it. Like, you can put beetroot in a chocolate cake and it makes it so moist. making
You can put
chocolate
zucchini
mousse.
zucchini brownies
Oh,
or
okay.
chickpea brownies. One of my friends is vegan, and whenever I go to her house, she knows that if I'm coming, she makes her vegan brownies. And oh my God, you would not know that there was anything, that there were beans in there. But it's because yes, you're right. What I did was, because I love, one of my favorite things is chocolate chip cookies. I love chocolate chip cookies. But now that I'm dairy intolerant and gluten intolerant and I avoid sugar, it's a matter of, you can still make them and you just make a healthy version of them.
Yep.
And, you know, that's, so ones that are not full of sugar. You can add sugar. I mean, I usually use a lot of maple syrup, or I use coconut sugar, which is obviously lower GI. But yeah, there is a healthy version, or a healthy version of any recipe you can find. Or
Yep.
you just play with them. I play with the recipes a lot and make them healthier.
Yeah, even takeaway foods like burgers, you know, you can make your own patties and put whatever you want in it. You can certainly put zucchini or carrot or anything in burger patties as well. So
Great way to hide vegetables in burgers. The other way I like to hide them in is, my grandkids will, you know, love butter chicken. So you know, what you do is you grind them up. So if you've got a child who has textural issues, because that's another issue that kids can have, is that it's not that they don't like the taste, is that they have textural issues. You can blend whatever you're cooking into something smooth, or blend. Like I had my son hated onions. So I would just blitz them. So there were they were still in there. There was no lumpy bits.
No evidence.
So yeah, it's just about a matter of sometimes doing that when you're cooking. So if you were making a butter chicken sauce from scratch, blending up your vegetables so that they're still in the sauce. So all they're getting is sauce and chicken. They just don't know the vegetables are in the sauce.
So you could,
not the ideal way, but it's a way.
Yeah, you could maybe puree up some pumpkin or something like that. Yeah, all right, cool. Yeah. That's a great one too. And like, anyway, as far as I'm concerned, meal prep has to be a day, you know, maybe a Sunday, not a whole day, but at least, you know, maybe an hour or something of prepping. What are you going to have this week? So to me, this is something that is an absolute must. And this just helps me on so many different levels with my mind, my frame of mind around food, just knowing it's organized and I don't have to think every day, oh my God, what am I eating today? Or what am I going to serve up? So really taking that time to prep some stuff ahead, like you could roast some pumpkin. If you've got a couple of racks in the oven, you could do, you know, maybe a sweet potato rack and a pumpkin rack or something, and then just have it all pureed up and in the freezer ready to go. Cutting up some big, like a, you know, couple of days worth of carrot sticks and having the cherry tomatoes ready. And if you have cucumber or, you know, celery, and, you know, I guess I don't eat capsicum or celery. So I guess I've sort of passed that on to my kids because they don't really eat it. But it's sort of a matter of, like you said, introducing them at an early age to all these things. And, you know, if I don't eat it, or you as the mum or the shopper don't eat it, I suppose it's you don't really think to get that sort of stuff for them. So
see, when I was growing up, the only vegetables my parents, we had potatoes, carrots, peas, beans, corn. They really didn't offer a lot of other vegetables, and I don't know whether that was because my parents didn't eat them, but that was all. The only other thing I remember my mother cooking up was Brussels sprouts, and they were disgusting. They just smelled rotten. But it was the way what I discovered as an adult was the way she prepared them. He's certain that they don't taste disgusting. Well, they're still a challenge for most people. But yeah, a lot of the time with kids, you know, it can be also about how you're cooking them. So if you overcook something, for some vegetables, you know, you need to cook them so they're soft, like carrots and potatoes and, you know, pumpkin and sweet potato are great to have them nice and soft. But things like your green vegetables, if you cook them so they're that soft, they are horrible. So yeah, it's a matter of learning how to just cook them to that point where they're, you know, nice and still nice and fresh. mean, some kids like soft, crunchy. I mean, I love crunchy vegetables. There's nothing worse than going to someone's house and they cook things to mush. And roasting vegetables gives vegetables more flavour.
Yeah,
than
very much.
Even things like Brussels sprouts, you can just put on an oven tray or under a griller with a little bit of oil and garlic or butter and garlic and whatever, and give them some extra flavour. And then they taste a little bit better. So it's about preparation. And I certainly agree with you when you talk about food preparation. It's it takes the stress out of meal times, because if you're already battling the kids, or if you're already having those stressful issues with the kids eating, you don't want to have that stress all day, or as soon as you get home, what are we going to eat? So take that little bit of stress out of the way by having a meal planned, or some of the prep done before you get home, and then you take some of the stress away, because kids will feed off your stress as well. If you're stressed around mealtime, they'll be stressed around mealtimes.
Definitely. And another piece of advice is to just work on one food at a time. Like, don't try every night something different. They need time to get used to it. Yes. Why are you laughing? From experience?
No, it's true. A lot of people just bombard their kids with all these things and go, oh, we'll try this today, we'll try that. And they're going, kids are adaptable, but when it comes to food, especially if they're resisting, you've got to be patient and, like you say, offer one food and offer one little bit of it. Offer them what they would, like you say, said before, offer what they would normally eat, and then offer a tiny little bit. And just, sometimes if it's peas, just a couple of peas. Say, can you just eat one? Can you just eat one pea, or one little floret of broccoli or cauliflower or something? Just one little one. Just take a little bite.
Yeah, and that's it. And then don't go into it anymore. Just go, that's it. That's your opportunity. And I guess if they don't do it, just keep presenting them with a little bit of broccoli or a little bit of cauliflower every night. Take the emotion out of it. And they're going to go, oh, Mum doesn't give a stuff. I'm just going to try it. Maybe it is good. Maybe I might like it. And using those words like maybe, or, just softening it instead of like black and white. This is it. You're not leaving the table until this happens. Just be a bit more cash about it. Maybe, you might like it. You just don't know.
They might not like it. You just might. You just don't know. Some of them are challenging. I have to say, I've had many conversations with women that say, I can't get my kids to eat anything. There's no, or others who say there's no such thing as fussy kids. There's no such thing as a vegetable you can't get a child to eat. Well, I disagree with both of those conversations, because I've had both of those conversations and I've had those issues with my kids. I had children that wouldn't eat vegetables because I tried to force them to, but now eat them as adults. So it was about them resisting me trying to force them to eat them. It wasn't that they didn't like it. And I certainly know there are lots of things that I didn't eat at home, or didn't eat as a young adult, that I now go, how come I have, or things I haven't tried for a long time and gone, oh, I haven't had, or you go out and try something, a different recipe, and you go, oh, I've never tried it like that before, or trying a vegetable cooked a different way. So and when I explain to people, Brussels sprouts shouldn't just be boiled until they're dead. The best way is to bake them. And one of my favourite things to do is pull Brussels sprouts apart and use them in a salad, in a green leafy salad. Because they are absolutely amazing in a green leafy salad.
So they're cute little leaves, aren't they?
Or in a stir fry. So when you're stir frying other vegetables, pull your Brussels sprouts apart and use the Brussels sprout leaves. So
cool.
Lots of different ideas about how to use vegetables.
Definitely. And I think not every night, like not trying to force your kid every night to try something. So if you've got a meal, there's some stuff on there that they like, and there's one thing that they don't like, don't harp on about it every night. It's like, pick your battles. You really got to, my point of view is, if my child doesn't eat carrots, is this really going to affect them, who they are as a person? No. But if I understand the extreme kids, like we do have friends and all their kids eat is chicken nuggets and white bread and stuff like that. I mean, I'm just so lucky that that's not my experience, and I'm really lucky. And I would strongly suggest, if that is your situation, then you seek help and support, because doing this on your own is just like tearing out your hair. you know, you would dread it. And like you said, the kids will be able to pick up on your stress.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's something you would be able to help people with if they're sort of at their wits' end, they've tried everything, come and see you, get a plan of action. What would you sort of offer them if they were to come and see you with this issue?
Often kids with that really serious food aversions have something else going on underneath. There's gut health, or sometimes it is, can be an underlying health condition the parents just aren't aware of. So it really is about investigating, getting the full picture from the parents and having a chat and looking at what strategies you can put in place, and that is those, how can initially, how do you get them to eat them? How do you get them to enough nutrition? Because let's face it, kids need to have nutrition, and while you work on the diet, you often need to work on. Often the kids will need some type of psychological help, or the parents need some help down that, because it is challenging, and it is challenging to behave. I certainly know. Nutrient deficiencies can cause a lot of behavioural issues and a lot of food aversions. So we
they might
can look
have
at those.
They might have a reaction to something, that they're possibly eating, and I guess kids also know their bodies as well, but a lot of it is a power struggle. So it's trying to between those two worlds coexist peacefully.
Yeah, and it is possible. It is very possible, and sometimes it's the emotional roller coaster that parents go through trying to get kids to eat healthy has long-term effects on the whole family. So it the sooner you can seek help from somebody who can help, that can try and get to the underlying reason and actually give you strategies, the better. Because if you leave it long term, what you risk is that the child will have even more health issues, because when they've got nutrient deficiencies, and then what often goes hand in hand with that is behavioural problems and sleep problems. So if they're not getting enough nutrients, they're not going to be able to produce, those neurotransmitters that help them with sleep, and the hormones in their body that they need to sleep. So it's a matter of, getting the balance. I do initially, there are things that I do. I try to get the nutrition right first, and often if we can't do that with food, there's lots of like meals. Even meal supplements or meal planning powders. I use isogenics with kids because it's a complete meal. And if you can't, especially it's really good for kids who struggle to eat breakfast in the morning. So so they're getting all their vitamins and minerals at least once a day while you try and build up the foods that they'll eat. So.
Okay.
But yeah, it's there's a lot you can do, but the earlier you start, the better.
So true. All right, Mary Anne, thank you so much for your time. So if someone wanted to reach out with you and book a consult or something like that, what's the best way for them to find you?
Well, Adelaide Nutrition and Wellbeing on Facebook, or via my website, so Adelaide Nutrition and Wellbeing.com.au. And just send me a message. If you go to the Facebook page or the website, you can book a free 30-minute health and wellness assessment where we can have a chat, and then we can talk through what the issues are and what I can help you with, and what we could work through with not just the parents, for the children, for the best, what's best for everybody. So yeah,
beautiful, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been fantastic chatting. I think there was so many gold nuggets in there. So please reach out to Mary Anne Bennett at Adelaide Nutrition and Wellbeing. And I would just like to let everybody know as well, if you do struggle with keeping your eating habits on track, I have developed a program which is the 5 phases to food freedom, and we can work together. And what we basically will be working on is how to focus on what you can achieve. We will be working on freedom from old habits and the flexibility to get back on track quicker. These are all the things that I did to overcome food addiction. And then the last one is feelings. So basically how to stop outsourcing the job of your feelings to food. So either myself or Mary Anne will be happy to receive your messages through our Facebook pages or websites. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.